Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the live stream. We're going to be talking about how to quickly and safely lose 25 pounds in a real easy, simple manner. Once again, sorry I'm a little bit late with this live stream. Had a whole bunch of technical problems. Once again, I'm not going to use Restream anymore. I use this software that actually puts this live stream on Facebook and puts it on LinkedIn and puts it on Twitter, and it just hasn't been working. I had all these problems, so sorry for the late start, but we'll jump right into it now. Hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. And once again, I got a whole bunch of slides to go through, and then we'll do a Q&A all along the way, so let me know. Also, any problems with any sound, anything like that, please let me know. And I also have my screen back, which is great. So I have my two screens for the for all the comments, so hopefully this live stream will go really well. I'm looking forward to doing it. Okay, so let's go over an exact overview of what I'm going to talk about today. I kind of geared this for people who are looking to lose about 25 pounds, maybe even a little bit more. I'll go into great detail about all that. I tried to keep it really simple, and I'll use the example of someone who's weighing, say, 175 pounds, who would like to weigh around 150, which is really nice. And thanks. So let me say hello to some people that are here. Chris Davis, thanks so much for showing up, Chris. I really appreciate it. Sounds great. Everything sounds good. I appreciate it. That sounds good. Looking forward to any questions you might have. Let me see. I'm also going to shut off. I'm also going to look at my comments on my phone too, because sometimes they don't always come through. We got Patel here again from the UK. Wonderful. This is great. I'm curious to know what everyone thinks about this later start time. Instead of starting set 11 o'clock, I'm thinking about maybe doing 12:30, like that. But I may not be here next Sunday, but I'm going on a trip next Sunday. I'll talk about it later in the presentation, but I still might try to go live when I'm away. So let's go over exactly what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to go over my calorie deficit formula. This could be a repeat for some people, but it's always so good to hear it again. Then I'm going to talk about the importance of cycling calories. I think it's a great thing to do. Some days eat more, some days eat less. It's good to minimize the slowdown in your metabolism. And it's also good to make you stick to the diet. It just makes the whole diet program a little bit easier to follow when some days you can eat a little bit more, right? Then we'll talk about the importance of eating an adequate amount of protein. And what's a little different for me in this is that I threw in fiber. I've been doing this with a lot of new clients. I've been just making sure they're eating enough fiber. And I'll talk about it in great detail when we get to that slide, but I think it's a great way to make sure that you're taking in good nutrition. If you're eating enough fiber, you're eliminating processed foods and just taking in good nutrition. But I'll explain to you what I mean by that. And then we'll talk about why I always like time-restricted eating. That's going to be part of this program as well. It's just such a great way to keep you in a calorie deficit. So we'll talk about calorie deficit. We'll talk about protein, fiber, and time-restricted eating, and then we'll do the normal Q&A at the end, and I'll show you some meal ideas, kind of how I've been eating over the past week. Hey, Jeff from Texas, thanks for showing up, Jeff. I just needed to do 3. Okay, this is what Jeff says. Hey, Mike, I just need to do this 3 times so I can lose 75 pounds. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I like that. I know some people have a lot to lose, some people don't, right? Okay, let's get this thing going. Okay, now, obviously, if you follow me, you really have to be in a calorie deficit, to lose weight. It's interesting, when I first started doing my YouTube channel, maybe 3-4 years ago, I was able to find a few studies talking about how when you're time-restricted eating and when you're intermittent fasting, even if you're eating the same amount of calories, you can still lose some weight doing a time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting. There was this one study on weightlifters, and it actually did show that eating the same amount of calories like these weightlifters did lose weight just following a 16-8 eating strategy. But overall, when you look at all the research, and just my own belief is, you really do have to be in a calorie deficit, even if you're intermittent fasting, even if you're time-restricted eating. Now, if you're totally new to me and you know what I'm talking about, intermittent fasting just means that you're giving yourself a shorter eating window. Let's say you're doing a 16-8, fasting for 16 hours, taking in all your calories within an 8-hour eating window. And if you do that intermittently, not every day, you would call that intermittent fasting. But if you did that every single day, say a 16-8, every day, that would be time-restricted eating and time-restricted feeding. So in my belief, you really do have to be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight. Not every day, but at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you have to be in a deficit, eating less than actually you're taking in, right? Eating less than what you're burning. I'm not saying that right. You know what I'm talking about, right? You have to be taking in less calories than what your maintenance calories are to maintain a weight. Okay, let's see what we got here. Gene is here too. Hey Gene, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I'm actually sick this week. I may talk about it at the end of the thing. That's when my brain may not be functioning properly today, but we'll see how it goes. Had to keep my gym closed the whole week this week, unfortunately. We got Nicholas is here too. Thank you, Nicholas, for showing up. Hey Mike, are there any differences between chicken and lamb in protein intake? I would say chicken. Well, it depends on the type. In my opinion, lamb has always been a fattier meat. So it's probably more of a higher calorie meat, but it really depends on the cut. If you're comparing it to like a chicken thigh, which is also a higher fat piece of chicken, it may be similar. But the amino acid profile, not that I've even looked it up comparing lamb to chicken, but I'm assuming it's pretty the same. I think they're both going to be really good, high, complete sources of protein, high in those branched chain amino acids like leucine, isoleucine, valine. Leucine is the most important for, I know you're interested in putting on muscle in protein synthesis. So I think they're both excellent choices for you, Nicholas. I think you can go either way. Just mix it up to make it enjoyable for yourself. Hey Gwen, how you doing? Thanks for showing up. I need okay, Gwen. Hey Mike, I need to lose like 40 pounds. Okay, I think this is still going to be pretty relevant to you. 25 pounds. I have one slide where I made a little bit of adjustment if you have a little bit more than 25 pounds to use, but I think that's in the realm. If someone's like me who's watching this and needs to lose 100 pounds, then you might have to adjust the numbers a little bit. Like instead of going with what you weigh now, you might want to adjust everything to what your goal weight is. But I'll talk about that in great detail. But you can do it, Gwen. I know you're going to do it. I know you've been showing up here all the time for these live streams, and we're going to make sure you get to your goal weight. What is your opinion on nitric oxide supplements? Well, I'm a big believer in nitric oxide. I just put another video on TikTok. I put it on yesterday. I got 130,000 views so far. I think it's good. I mean, you can eat certain foods and you can actually do certain things that's going to increase nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is just a molecule within the body that actually opens things up. Good for blood flow, good for exercise performance, things like that. So I try to eat in a way to increase my nitric oxide. If you eat foods that are high in nitrates, right, like some of the highest foods in nitrates is what I eat every single day, which is like arugula. 100 grams of arugula has over 400 milligrams of nitrates. Beets, beet powder, spinach, like leafy greens. These are foods that are just high, naturally high. Red spinach extract is another one that are naturally high in nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide within the body, which is really good for blood flow, gives you a great pump in the gym, good for health, can even possibly help you with blood pressure, erectile dysfunction, mild erectile dysfunction, like things like that. And you can also take other things like L-citrulline is a non-essential amino acid. It's put in most pre-workout like supplements. That's also a different mechanism to increase nitric oxide. It gets a little confusing, but see, L-citrulline helps the body make arginine, which helps the body make nitric oxide. That's the other mechanism. So I do all these different things. For example, sometimes as a pre-workout like protein shake for myself, I'll add these nitric oxide enhancers. Like I'll put some L-citrulline in my protein shake. I'll also put some beetroot powder in my protein shake to get both mechanisms. But most pre-workout shakes actually have this stuff in it. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's great. I'm always keeping an eye on calories and keeping an eye on carbohydrates. So I'll go with like a powder as opposed to drinking like a beet juice. But I think that's good, Nicholas. I think you can fool around with both those things. Totally safe, and I think it would be a good thing for you to do, for sure. Okay, so let's go over my calorie deficit formula. I know I was mumbling my words earlier in this live stream, but you have to be in a calorie deficit pretty much to lose body fat. Okay, so my favorite formula, it's so simple, is you just multiply your body weight by, say, 10 or 11. So most of the examples I'm going to give today is going to be that person who's 175, who wants to weigh 150, but it's relevant for you too, Gwen, who wants to lose 40 pounds. So let's say you're 175 pounds, right? You multiply that by 10. That's your calorie deficit, 1,750 calories. That's the amount of calories you should eat in a day when you want to be in a calorie deficit. And there are more sophisticated ways of doing this. You can go online and you can enter your age, your weight, your activity level, try to figure out your resting metabolic rate and all things like that. You can do that. But I think this is a pretty good, simple formula to follow just to keep everything incredibly simple. And you can go a little bit more You know, you can go maybe 1,800, you know, 17, 1,800 calories if you weigh 175, 1,850, something like that. And then it's also good to have a general idea of what your maintenance calories are, because I'm going to want you to cycle your calories within this like program to lose that 25 pounds quickly. And I would say maintenance calories is somewhere between 500 to 750 calories over 10 times your body weight. So if you're 175, 1,750 calories a day would be deficit, maintenance would be something about 2,250, 2,250. You know, I've read other studies saying that another calculation you can use is just 15 times your body weight is maintenance calories. I didn't want to go that high in this particular strategy that I'm talking about. And 10 times your body weight would be a good deficit. You can go with that too, but keep that in mind. So the first thing we're going to focus on to lose this 25 pounds quick is that we want to put you in a pretty good calorie deficit. Okay, so let's see. Nicholas has another question here. You could do OMAD mixed with no carb for a week, and while you may lose weight, I'm pretty sure that's not healthy. Okay, so let's go over this again. Okay, you could do like the OMAD. OMAD stands for the 1 meal a day diet, if you're not familiar with that term, with no carbs for a week. Okay, so you're almost pretty much, if you're doing OMAD, only eat 1 meal a day with no carbs, you're going to be in ketosis. Ketosis just means that the liver is producing ketones. You're eating a very extremely low carb diet. Okay. May lose weight, but I'm pretty sure that can be, well, you know, Nicholas, that's something maybe in your case, I would probably agree with you, because I know you're pretty, you know, you've lost a lot of weight already. You're a young guy, but for someone to do that for a week, the OMAD diet, you know, like a ketogenic OMAD diet for a week, I don't necessarily think that's unhealthy. It might be unhealthy if you did it like for an extended period of time, for weeks on end, or for months on end. But 1 week, it's a good way to jumpstart your weight loss. I don't think it's really that. I wouldn't say it's unhealthy for everyone. Hey, for everyone. Hey, Gene, thanks again for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Let's see what you got here. Okay. Okay, this is Gene. I'm seriously considering doing the 1 day a week off strategy for my diet, where I eat whatever I want for that 1 day. Your thoughts? I think in your case, Gene, totally okay, and I think it may even be a good thing. I know you're doing that very low calorie diet. I think, I hope I'm getting this right. I think you're at 1,000 calories a day on most days. And I know the last time that you were saying how, you know, sometimes you're getting really hungry at periods of time, and then maybe you're eating a little too much. I like the idea of what you're saying now is to more, I think psychologically it will be better for you just in general to have a real plan to follow. And I like what you're talking about. If you're going that low, but I know you're keeping your protein up, and I know you're keeping your fiber up, which we're going to talk about today, which is great. I think you're doing a couple of those Quest bars, which are really high in fiber, which is great, and you're eating an adequate amount of protein. I like that plan a lot because it's more scheduled. You know, psychologically, I think it's going to put you in a good place. You're not going to feel bad about the day when you're doing it. You're in such a good calorie deficit. I think it would be a good thing, maybe 1 day a week to eat whatever you want. I know when you say whatever you want, obviously I don't want you eating those trans fasts. I mean, I don't want you just eating like donuts and just like the worst possible foods you can possibly eat. But definitely you can have a very high calorie day 1 day a week. I think it might be a good thing. Don't eat to the point where it upsets your stomach. I think it's good. I think you should do that for a month and see what happens. I think it may be a great thing. Hey, this is cool. This is interesting. This is the first time I've had some like maybe my live streams are getting more popular. I had like a not necessarily a bad thing, but something that I'm supposed to delete from the live stream. Let's see if I'm going to remove these. This is why it's good to have my phone, because I couldn't remove this, and then I'll hide the user from channel. Pretty cool. That was good. It's the first time that happened. I kind of, not that I'm happy about it, but maybe my live stream's getting out there a little bit, that people are going to people unwanted spam, let's report that. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, great. That's good, guys. Let's keep this thing going. See, so I think that is a good thing for you to do, Gene. I would try it for sure, definitely. Okay, let's go to now the other thing we want to do. So first thing, number one, to lose 25 pounds pretty quick, calorie deficit. Right? We just covered that. 10 times your body weight. But this is how. Let me see. Did I go into that? Okay, I want to talk. Okay, this is what I forgot to mention, which is really important. Okay, I also want you to calorie cycle, meaning that, and this is kind of what Gene's talking about, but he's doing it to a little bit more of an extreme. See, day 1 and day 2, when you go into a calorie deficit, that's when you're going to be burning body fat. That's when you're losing weight. But I never want you to over-exaggerate being in a calorie deficit for too long, because there's something called metabolic adaptation, which we're going to talk about in some other slides. So what I like you to do is for 2 days be in that calorie deficit, but then the third day is good for maintenance. It's going to make the diet so much easier, so much more enjoyable to do. On the third day, up your calories about 500 calories. Give yourself a little more food to eat. I think it's going to be a good thing. So what I like you to do for this plan, and I'm always experimenting, trying different plans. I've been doing this plan with some people and it's really working well for them. Calorie deficit for 2 days, third day maintenance. And you can keep on repeating that. If you want to go 3 days calorie deficit, fourth day maintenance, you can do that. But I kind of like that. And this is the importance of it. We'll talk about calorie cycling. But let's see what's healthy. Hello, let's see. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for showing up. Hey, Mike. I've been on 𝘾𝑚𝑎D for quite some time now, and I want to try to cycle fasting. But every time I open my eating window earlier, I get extreme stomach upset. And any ideas on what I can do? Okay, so you're doing the 𝘾𝑚𝑎D diet. It seems like your body got really used to only eating that one meal a day. And they're asking that if they start expanding their eating window, instead of giving themselves maybe a 1 or 2 hour eating window, say they want to do a 16/8, so they just want to eat a couple more meals during their day. I would just I think it's pretty much common sense, so I hope you find this helpful. I literally would just start with something really, really small, Maybe you can try a protein shake. I mean, that's the big negative I find of only eating the 1 meal a day diet. Like long term, it's so hard to take in enough protein in that one meal. So I would say that's the first thing I would focus on, is just taking in a little bit more protein with maybe one small meal. Maybe you can do a protein shake. Maybe you can do like Gene does, or what I do all the time when there's no cow protein bars or Quest protein bar. They are kind of high in fiber, so maybe that wouldn't be great for your stomach. I would literally start something really simple. You can just maybe drink some bone broth, do something like that. Maybe have 2 hard-boiled eggs with a little piece of fruit. Something that's easily digestible, that's not going to really upset your stomach. I don't know if you have any type of issues with the foods that you can process while you were doing the 𝘾𝑚𝑎D. But maybe whatever food you were able to eat so well on 𝘾𝑚𝑎D, just do like a mini version of that 𝘾𝑚𝑎D meal and try to do that earlier in the day. But I think it's a good idea for you to get away from the 𝘾𝑚𝑎D if you've been doing it for a real extended period of time. If you're doing it for months or even years, I would definitely start eating a couple meals a day. Like, my favorite strategy is 𝑘𝑚𝑎D with a protein shake. It just makes sure you're taking in enough protein, and you can manipulate your calories with 2.5 meals, pretty easily, to be in maintenance or to be in a deficit. Try that and let me know. But get back to me. I'm curious to know how you do with that. Let's see what Gene got. Okay, this is Gene again. When I do more than a week of very low calorie dieting, so that's say 1,000 calories, I get so psychologically drained. I believe it, Gene. Thinking about 5,000 calories on that day. So one day 5,000. Gene. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if like similar to Healthy Hollow. I don't know if your body can process. I don't know if your stomach can handle 5,000 calories. If you think you can, you can try it. I think that's a really, really high calorie day though. See, Gene, what I would probably like you to do, I know we talked about this before, is I would stop doing that very low calorie diet days. I think it's too low. You at your weight, you can easily eat 1,500 calories a day, and still lose a ton of weight. That's still a really good calorie deficit for you. I think your whole life and everything might be a lot easier. I don't think you're going to crave those high calorie days. You can literally do 1,500 calories a day and then have 1 or 2 3,000 calorie days. You know what I mean? But I don't want to mess you up because you're doing so well, and I know you like to go so low calorie. But 5,000 calories, you can try it. But if your system is used to, if your digestive tract and everything is used to eating like 1,000 calories for like a week, and then you hit it with 5,000 calories, I don't know how your body's going to process it. If you feel you can handle it, fine. I would do those 5,000 calories, then spread out over maybe 3 good meals, as opposed to just hammering yourself with one monster meal, But I think for you, I'd much rather see you eat 1,500 calories, most days of the week, and then give yourself a 3,000 calorie day now and then. You can almost like use this whole thing. Think about it, Gene, and let me know what you feel about it. You don't have to do it today. Let me know today, but think about that. I would go 1,500 and then do like a 3,000 calorie day every 4 or 5 days. I think you'll be much better off than going that very low. Because on those very low calorie days, I know you're taking in enough protein, you're doing shakes and Quest bars, but you might not be getting, everything you need with only 1,000 calories. It's really hard. Really hard. I would say the minimum would be 1,200. That's always been like a general rule. You go below 1,200 calories, it's hard to get potassium, magnesium. It's hard to get all those things. Unless you're doing it like intermittently, like alternate day fasting. One day 1,000, the next day 3,000. If you're doing something like that. But hey, Harriet's here from New York. Thanks for showing up, Harriet. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm afraid my body. Okay, this is back to Healthy Hollow. I'm afraid my body is metabolic adaptation, like you said. Right. I'm so thin, so I definitely need bigger eating windows some days, but this is miserable. Well, I mean, you probably overdid it. Everyone gets caught. Everyone makes mistakes. I've made tons of mistakes on this. Just my diet thought processes and things I've tried with clients. I've made so many mistakes. I don't feel bad about it. It really happens. Truthfully, I'm in the last few weeks or so, I'm leaning away. Even though I'm known for this intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, I'm leaning more away from it lately, especially with this early time restricted eating strategy that I'm doing. I'm eating more like, now I'm doing like 15, 15-9, a little bit more. I'm focusing more on calories and taking in a good amount of protein and fiber and things like that. Metabolic adaptation, you might get caught a little bit doing OMAD too long, but doesn't mean you can't turn it around. That transition period is the hardest. You can do it. Just start slowly increasing your calories. Like I said, start with 1/2 more meal. Before you know it, a few weeks are going to go by. You're going to feel a lot better for sure. For sure. That's a good idea. Thanks for you. Oh, thanks. No, good. I'm glad it helps. Princess Odette, let's see. What brand of protein shake if you have to purchase from the store? My favorite, well, there's a few, but what I like the best is I've been buying Garden for Life. I get it on Amazon or I get it on Whole Foods, and I'll buy 2 different versions of it. I buy their whey protein isolate, which I love. It's from Ireland. It's that grass-fed, grass-finished whey. Whey is a great complete source of protein, high in the branched chain amino acids, high in leucine, isoleucine, valine. I think it's like the rock star of protein powder. But they also make a plant-based one if you're a vegetarian or vegan, which uses a combination. I think it's pea protein, hemp seed, and beans. But it has a really good amino acid profile. It's really high in the branched chain amino acids too. If you put my name like Mike Cola Amazon, I have like an Amazon page where I list all my favorite supplements. I even might have it underneath, not this particular video, but underneath some of my other videos. But that's one of my favorite brands. But there's so many good brands. If you're looking for whey, I would look for like real dairy. When it says real dairy, that means it comes from Ireland, which I think is the best source. But even there's some good brands from like New Zealand, and some other good brands from like certain parts of Northern California, where the cows are truly grass fed and grass finished. It's interesting when you go with an isolate, a whey protein isolate. That means everything's stripped out of it. You're getting pretty just the amino acid profile of dairy. It's not quite as important to go with grass fed, grass finished, because just everything's stripped out of it. All the bad stuff will be in the fat. If you're going with a whey concentrate, where there is some fat and there is some carbohydrates in there, then I would say definitely go with like grass-fed, grass-finished. Another brand I like a lot too, I like Mark Sesson. I talk about him from time to time. He's the guy that wrote the book, The Primal Blueprint. He's a guy a little bit older than me. He's got a supplement company, his Primal Kitchen. All his protein powders are great too. He's got some collagen, some whey. I like that brand a lot too. There's so many good brands out there. There really are. Not unfortunately, but you want to avoid the ones that come from China and things like that if you can. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got a few more. Nicholas again. Mike, what is your opinion on taking nitric oxide supplement at my age? Because I'm in a growing stage and might impact growth. I don't think that's going to the type of nitric oxide supplements I'm talking about, I don't think it's going to affect you with your age. Check with your parents though, obviously, before taking any supplements. Run it by your pediatrician. But I'm talking about beet powder, like beets, eating beets, eating arugula, eating spinach salads, eating foods that are naturally high in nitrates, natural nitrates, not hot dogs and things like that, natural nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide. I think it would be a good thing for you to do. You don't have to do the L-citrulline. L-citrulline is like a non-essential amino acid. It's plant-based. That could come from China. The brand that I like is Muscle Feast. I buy that one all the time. I take like 6 grams of L-citrulline, which helps the body make arginine, which helps the body make nitric oxide. In your case, if you're just eating a good, healthy diet, high, like eating spinach salads and eating arugula and eating some beets, and, you can even drink like, vegetable drinks and things like that, that's going to help you with it. But at your age, nitric oxide is not as important as for someone 60 years old like my age, because as you age, your nitric oxide levels just naturally go down, so you want to make sure you're eating in a way to enhance them. Oh, Chris, hey, Chris, thanks again. Thanks so much for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Thanks for showing up again, too, and all your comments. It's great. Really appreciate it. Okay, Biff, let's see. Okay, recently found your videos. Oh, thanks for showing up. Love your channel. Thanks, sir. Oh, thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. That's great. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Well, oh, that sounds great. I'm glad you like it. And, it can be... Look for a good price for the Garden for Life. It's interesting. Sometimes in Whole Foods it's like $40 like a container, but then on Amazon you can get it for $30, $31. As long as it's the same thing. So look for a good price if you can. Let's see, we got hey Chris. Okay, let's see what Chris got. He just gave me the super chat. Thanks again, Chris. I'm eating 2 raw eggs with 1 scoop of collagen and 1 scoop of creatine. Is that okay to do? Oh, yeah, I think it's totally okay to mix together. I'm not sure how big creatine. I wouldn't go much. I'm not sure what you weigh, but I wouldn't go much over 5 grams of creatine a day. But I think it's the best muscle building, muscle endurance, supplement you can possibly take. I like the eggs because eggs are a complete protein. So you're getting all those non-essential amino acids, which is so important, and high in leucine, high in all the branched chains, because collagen is not a complete protein. It's missing one of the essential amino acids, tryptophan, that's found in turkey. So the fact that you're doing this together, I love. I do this a lot too. Like I'll take a collagen protein and I'll mix it with a whey or a hemp seed because I want that tryptophan along with it. Because it seems like all the new research is really saying that you need more than just those 3 branched chains. You really need all the 9 essential amino acids for protein synthesis and all that, because there are always a limit. There's the term called limiting amino acids. Like every protein source will generally have some type of a limiting amino acids. Like 1 amino acid will be extremely low, and collagen just doesn't have any tryptophan. So it's good to have those eggs with it. And creatine is just great. It's just the best supplement you can possibly take when it comes to that. There's even some research saying it's good for your cognitive ability. I cycle on and off it. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm going to start going back on creatine pretty soon. I got this trip. We're going on another trip again. When I get back, I'm going to kick it up, everything. I'm going to kick in like the workouts again. I'm going to go on the creatine. And my elbows are just starting to feel a little bit better from when I hurt them a few months ago, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to doing some good training over the winter. Plus, in the summertime, the weather's good. I love walking. I love being outside. I feel like I got even a little too thin this summer, so I'm going to try to put a little muscle on safely this winter if I can. Let's see what Jeff's got. Okay, Organ Clean Protein Shake. Oh, that's right. Okay. Am I pronouncing that right? Organ. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it. ORGAIN Clean Protein Shake is my favorite. And Jeff is good. Jeff knows about this stuff, so that could be a good brand too. It doesn't have some of the added junk some of the other brands do. So good. Thanks for that recommendation, Jeff. That's great. Okay, juicy dark chocolate. It's amazing for dessert. Yeah, no, if there's one thing in my diet that I probably eat too much of, that I should probably keep an eye on. I think dark chocolate is good. I go with this 88% dark chocolate. You have to go above, I think, 75% dark chocolate for it to be really, really good. One like section is like a strip and a half that I eat. It's 190 calories, and it gives you 4 or 5 grams of fiber. It's also high in magnesium. Dark chocolate, good for health. It can possibly help your low blood pressure too. Sometimes though I eat a little too much of it, but I think it is a great thing as long as you're gonna eat it, in moderation and control, because it is pretty caloric, right? Cocoa is really good. Loaded in loaded in those flavonoids and the polyphenols and all those good things, which is great. Okay, yes, dark chocolate, 90% sprinkled with Greek yogurt. Oh yeah, that sounds great. Putting some like shaving some dark chocolate on top of a Greek yogurt. I just did a post on Greek yogurt in the community section. Check it out if you guys want to see it. And then with some blueberries. I love that. I mean, that sounds great. I haven't done that in a long time. I put blueberries. I go, when I make my yogurt, I eat Greek yogurt almost every day. I love it because I buy, you know, I think that one brand I buy is called Total. It's like 100 calories, the no-fat one. Has 15 grams of protein, which is like 3 or 4 times the amount of protein more than a typical yogurt. Has the live cultures in it, you know, which is amazing. But what I like to add to it, I like to add 2 scoops of ground flaxseed just to increase the omega-3s. I love the nutty flavor. If I'm buying the no fat, I want to add some fat, you know, to the yogurt. And then I put in a hand of blueberries or raspberry stuff. I love that. I think it's a great snack. And sometimes I'll do that, and that's a real small meal. Then I'll eat like a whey protein bar with it, like a Quest bar or one of those no-cal protein bars that gives me like 50, 60 grams of protein for like 350 calories. I mean, I think that's a great small meal. That's something you might want to try to get you off the OMAD and get you increase your calories. That Greek yogurt with some ground flaxseed or some berries, that's very easily digestible there. I don't think that's going to give you an issue. Maybe not 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, maybe just 1, and then maybe eat like half a protein bar and see how you feel there. That could be a great thing. Let's see, Biff. Okay, I work 12-hour shifts overnight in the hospital. Well, I guess you're a healthcare worker. Thoughts on OMAD before my shift and going to bed empty. Well, I think that's a great strategy in 2 ways. Either intermittently, like not every day. It would be like that would be something you can do once or twice a week. Excellent low-calorie days. You're definitely going to burn some fat. I don't know how the rest of your diet looks. If you're eating a relatively low carb diet, you might dip into ketosis where there could be some good benefits for you there. Or if you just want to, like, say you want to be really aggressive and you want to drop some weight, you know, pretty quickly for like a few weeks, I think you can probably do that 2-3 weeks. But I wouldn't want you to do that for too long for multiple reasons. First of all, like I said, it's so hard to take in enough protein, which is the most important macronutrient for maintaining muscle mass and for satiety, for so many reasons, if you're only eating 1 meal a day, OMAD, right? You can get away with it for a few weeks. Plus, what we're going to talk about is that metabolic adaptation, which is the calorie cycling in this slide here. See, when you reduce calories and you lose weight, your metabolism is always going to slow down for to some degree because you're smaller. But you can over-exaggerate that metabolic adaptation, like you go into starvation mode if you aggressively restrict calories. Like say you do OMAD, and let's say you're only eating 800 calories, you know, in 1 meal, and you do that for like weeks on end. Initially, you'll lose a ton of weight, but you're going to slow down. You're going to over-exaggerate metabolic adaptation. And there's been some really good studies done on like that show, The Biggest Loser. Remember that was popular years ago. The participants who were like aggressively restricting calories and just like burning a ton of calories with like overtraining, working out so much, they messed up their metabolisms. Like this metabolic adaptation like really took over. It took them, some people like years later, even after gaining all the weight back, their metabolisms were still damaged from just messing with their hormones and things like that. So I love calorie restriction, but I don't think you should do it too aggressively for too long. That's why I love the idea of cycling calories, even though the research is a little bit mixed on it. Just from my own personal experience and working with like hundreds and thousands, literally thousands of people since I've been doing this for like over 40 years. You know, I just turned 60. I find that when you restrict calories and then go to maintenance or just like cycle your calories, it's a much, much better approach. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Gwen. This is Gwen. I'm 158.2 pounds, so that's 1,582 calories a day. I like that. And most of it should be protein. Okay, not most of it. We'll talk about it more when we get to it, but I don't think most of it. I just think you should go with like either you can take your body weight, multiply it by 0.8, maybe 0.7, or ideally if you can determine what your body fat is, like use one of those calculators like online, 0.9 grams per pound of body weight is the ideal amount of grams of protein. I always give this example. If you're 150 pounds and let's say you're 20% body fat, so you're 130 pounds of lean mass, times that by 0.9, and that's I think 100. Now I figure because I used to get, what's that, 108 grams of protein a day. I think 0.9 times 120. So about 108 grams of protein. If you're 150 pounds, Gwen, minimum, I'll just make the numbers up for you, but I think they'll be reasonably accurate. You want a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day. I would go even a little bit higher. Let's say maybe 110, 120, something like that. So every 4 ounces of chicken, fish, and meat is 25 grams. So let's say you're doing like a two-mad. Let's say you're taking 50 grams of protein roughly with each meal, maybe 40 grams of protein with each meal. So let's say you're eating 6 to 8 ounces of chicken, fish, meat, or animal protein twice a day, like say on top of 2 big salads, right? With a whole bunch of vegetables and microgreens, and then just to give yourself a little bit more protein, maybe throw in like a Quest protein bar or a no-cal protein bar or a protein shake. That'll bump you up to like 110, 120 grams of protein. I think you'll do great. You take 4 calories per gram of protein. So let's say you're doing that, 100 grams of protein is only 400 calories. So not all your calories from protein. You're still going to be getting a lot of fiber, a lot of vegetables, a couple of fruits. But the only thing is that confuses people when I say like 4 calories per gram of protein is that protein always comes with fat. Like when you're eating steak, when you're eating salmon, when you're eating sardines, when you're eating eggs, you're also getting a decent amount of fat calories. So that's the whole equation. But it's going to make more sense with you as we go on with this whole thing. Let's see what Nicholas got to say. Now, of course, I'm going to hit my protein intake. This is never going to happen. But what if I take creatine without hitting my protein? I wouldn't worry about it, Nicholas. I mean, I think you're doing pretty good with everything. Creatine is just a separate thing. Creatine is just a supplement that's going to help you put on a little bit more muscle in the gym and things like that. Yes, you will hold a little bit more water from creatine because it volumizes the muscle cell with water, just like glycogen when you're storing your muscles, volumizes the muscle cell a little bit. I mean, it's 2 separate things. Try to eat your adequate amount of protein. If you want to take some creatine, if you and your parents just think it's a good thing for you, try it. I think it's really safe. Run it by your parents, run it by your doctor, but it's two separate things. My veins are really popping. Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Let's see what Gene's got here. Oh, good. We got a lot of great questions. I'll get to everyone's questions. Don't worry. Okay, this is what Gene's got. Okay, of course, taking a day off each week means I will miss my 210 pounds Christmas objective, and yes, my body can take. Okay, I don't know, Gene. You still might be able to get there, but hey, this. I like to say, even with my fitness journey, it's a lifelong pursuit. I know you'd like to be there for Christmas. You're doing so good and you lost so much weight. What's the difference if you get there Christmas or maybe you get there New Year's, right? When you go with New Year's, enjoy your life a little bit more. And if you can have that 5,000 calorie day and process the food and really enjoy it, and you think that's going to hold you over for a whole other week to make you drop your calories, I think it's great. I mean, you know your body, better than I do, right? Well, okay. I haven't done a 40-hour fast in ages, and the last time I did it, I lost only. Okay, yeah, I think that's in your past, Nicholas. At least for a while, you're pretty much at your goal weight. I don't think you have to do those extended fasts like that anymore. Okay, here comes Chris Davis. Hey, there we go. I weigh 225. I'm doing 1 serving of plain Greek yogurt, 1 scoop of Garden for Life. Oh, protein, love it that you recommend. Excellent. 1 serving of powdered almond butter, and I mix it all in low. Well, I love it, Chris. That sounds great. So the Greek yogurt's probably giving you 15 grams of protein. I'm not sure what protein, but if you're doing the whey, that Garden for Life whey, that's about 24 grams, right? If you're doing the plant-based protein, 1 scoop is 15, 2 scoops is 30. I'm assuming you're doing the whey. So that's getting you 25, 30. That's giving you 40 grams of protein right there, which I think is ideal. It's like, I've changed my opinion on this, but because I've been doing so much research lately on it, I've been listening to like so many podcasts. You got to listen to, like I said, Andrew Huberman and Peter Attias. He had these 2 like nutrition experts on this show recently, and what everyone seems to be saying, based on this relatively recent meta-analysis and all the research, is that you want to be somewhere between 30 to 60 grams of protein per meal. If you go over 60. It's not necessarily like the body won't use it, but when it comes to protein synthesis, you're probably reaching a point of diminishing returns. So I really love what you're doing here. You're getting 15 and say 25, so that's what, 15, 30. You're right around 50, and you're probably even picking up a little protein from the almond milk. I love it, Chris. I love it. I think you're right on target. Right on target. Hey, whoa, Chris, another super chat. Oh, I love it. Thanks so much. This is great. This is good. Excellent. Nicholas, here we go. Mike, I've always taken a 10-minute walk around the room now after eating. Oh, I love that. See, Nicholas is pointing out what I talk about. I've done videos on this and there's research on it. It's so incredible. Every time you eat, if you can just move around for a minimum of 2 minutes, research is even showing 2 minutes makes a difference, to like 10 minutes, it totally helps clear glucose, helps control blood sugar. And even, I mentioned this last time too, Andrew Huberman even talked about this in a recent podcast. There's a study now that talks about if you like literally like sit in a chair and just keep on lifting your heels off the ground, up and down, it dramatically helps clear and control glucose, blood sugar, which is really unbelievable to me. You have to do it for a long period of time. You got to do it for like an hour or two, but it just shows that even mini movements or neat, like non-exercise, like thermogenesis, even neat, like most people burn so many calories now when they're working out, now when you're just like fidgeting and moving around. I mean, it's incredible. That I'm going to start talking about neat a lot more. I'm going to do some videos on it too, which is really amazing stuff. Okay, let's see. Gwen. Oh my gosh, so much math, Mike. I know. Sorry about that. Just keep it really simple, Gwen. If you're 150 pounds, you can eat about 1,500 calories a day. And then you're going to eat, just think, whenever you eat food, you're going to have a couple meals a day, 2-3 meals a day. Just make sure there's always protein in there. Look at it. Just really simplify it. You want to eat protein and you want to eat make sure you're getting fiber by eating like vegetables and fruits. Protein, vegetables, and fruits. Eat like that. Just like don't have a meal where there's no protein. You know what I mean? Like don't just have a salad and not put protein in it. Right? Don't have oatmeal without putting some protein powder or nuts and berries in it. Like don't have breakfast. If you're having breakfast, have eggs, right? If you're having lunch, have a salad with animal protein on top. You're having dinner, first have your protein, your chicken, fish, and meat. Add a couple of vegetables. If you don't want to count things and you don't want to make yourself crazy, just do that. Don't eat protein with every meal. Prioritize protein. Think like that, and you're going to do great. You'll do great. How much water should I drink based on my age? I wouldn't go by age. If you're really active as a younger person, maybe more, but half your weight in ounces per day. So if you're 150 pounds, 75 ounces of water. And you're also going to pick up a lot of water if you're eating like a good healthy diet. If you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, they're water-based. You need a lot of water there. But half your weight in ounces of water for sure. Oh, hey, Viv, thanks for the super chat. This is great. I've been getting some consistent super chats now, which I really appreciate. I really love it. That's great. Okay, let's see. Okay, 6'1", 245 pounds. The goal weight is 200, 220. I like that. I think that's a good weight for you at 6'1". Thinking a few weeks of OMAD, beef, garlic, rice, fruit, glass of milk for OMAD, trying to fit in my Thai weights. Ooh, that's pretty good too. I love that too. I think that's good. No, I think that's a great. If you just like quickly want to get down there, go 3 weeks. Do that for 3 weeks. But then I want you to get away from it if you can. And just make, like you're doing the beef. I mean, there are some studies that I've read, the people who do OMAD who literally eat like 80, 100 grams of protein in one meal, and they still do really, really well. I would really up the protein. You're a big guy too. I would go 16 ounces of like salmon or beef or something like that. Do your rice, do your fruit. You're getting a little more protein in the milk. I wouldn't go beyond like 3 weeks, and then either you got a couple of options. Either you can take a diet break, like just say, okay, I'm going up to maintenance calories. I'm going to go back to eating, say, I don't know, maybe 2,500 calories a day or maybe more, 3,000 calories a day for like a week. Don't get upset if you don't lose any more weight. Kind of like reset everything. Make sure you're not low on any vitamins and minerals and nutrients. Make sure you got enough potassium, magnesium in your diet. And then go back to this, right? Or start doing it intermittently. Start doing that OMAD every other day. Great way to cycle the calories, but try it. I'm so curious to see how you do. I think you're going to do great with it. I think you'll do great with it. Same here, Polar Bear. I always walk or jump on the elliptical after dinner. Excellent. Seems to help me digest. And I think it's great and feel better. Excellent. So we got Chris. Okay. You have some slides you're going to share today. is this live as you have some slide you are going to share today in this live as well. Yeah, I don't know, Chris, do you see these slides? I hope you see them on the top corner here. I know maybe it's not being broadcast, unless I'm totally misunderstanding your question. Yeah, you know, basically, sometimes I start answering these questions and I kind of lose track with the slides, but the slide I have now is called why calorie cycle. So I'm talking about metabolic adaptation, why it's not good to be in a calorie deficit like we were talking about with BIF for an extended period of time, because you can over-exaggerate that metabolic adaptation. And then at the end, you'll see I'm going to pull up some like meal examples and things like that. I think that's what you mean, Chris, but I'm not totally sure. Let's see. Very controversial star Andrew Todd. You may know him or not. Despite his controversy, he manages to stay ripped. Okay, sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So we got, okay, the first slide, just to make sure Chris got it. Calorie deficit, right? 10 times your body weight. You can do that for like 2 or 3 days. Third or fourth day, go to maintenance calories. Okay, that's number one. Number two, with that, we talked about why you want to go to maintenance calories, because we're cycling our calories to minimize that metabolic adaptation. And now let's go into the protein. Why it's so important to eat an adequate amount of protein. Protein is the most satisfying macronutrient. The 3 macros are protein, fats, and carbs. Right, protein is like the building blocks of the body, the amino acids, helps maintain muscle mass when you're losing weight, so super important. And my general formula is 0.9 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight, or you can just multiply your weight by 0.7. I think you can easily go 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight too, which is another really simple way of doing it. See, what I want to just get across by this, let me get a little water. What I'm trying to get across by this is that when you go into a calorie deficit, you still want to eat an adequate amount of protein. You never want to cut back on protein. You always want to keep the protein on that moderate to high side. I guess some people will call it high. I call it like an adequate amount of protein. You know, that's the key. Right. And then the other thing we're going to talk about, which is kind of new of me talking about here, is I also want to make sure you keep your fiber up. And the main reason for doing that is that when you're eating enough fiber, you're eliminating those empty calories, you know, like the processed foods, the garbage. And I also made a little bit of a note here, like this is kind of maybe what Gwen's talking about. If you have to lose like way more than 25 pounds, Gwen, you're 40 pounds, so I don't know if I would talk about it. It doesn't pertain as much to you. But if you have to lose like 100 pounds, if you're 300 pounds and you want to weigh 200, you might want to calculate these numbers more with your goal weight as opposed to what you weigh now, because taking in 300 grams of protein a day is a lot. You may want to just go more with, you know, with the 200 with your goal weight. See, I'm a little bit sick, so I'm going to turn this away I'm going to lower this mic because I don't want to cough and like bother everyone. Just give me a second here. Okay, guys, sorry about this. So, Chris, okay, I see the slides now. Okay, great. Thanks. I know maybe I don't know if Chris, if you're watching this on your phone, it could be kind of small. You know, there are other ways of me doing this. Like sometimes I can do this like shrink it and then me do that, but I don't really want to do that. I always think it looks better. Oh, now I messed it up. Let's see. I hope I can get this to work. There we go. I always think this looks better, even though the slides kind of cover my face up a little bit. But if you like the other strategy more, leave a comment. I can start doing the live streams more, like, you know, when I make myself small and then keep the picture kind of big. If you want to see these slides a little better. So now we got the protein formula: 0.9 grams per gram of lean body weight. Or you can just multiply your body weight by anywhere between 0.7, that would be the minimum, and you can even go 1 gram per pound of body weight. I think that's another really great way of doing it. Okay, let's talk about fiber now. It's interesting. Many years ago, I used to use the same concept and say salt. I used to tell people, you know what? Make sure you're eating enough protein, and don't eat more than 1,000, 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. But it seems like all the new research, and I read that book, The Salt Solution, that I got away from using salt, but sometimes I do use fiber. See, I'm always trying to find simple ways for people that get them to eat better, and also just to get them to, without driving them crazy. I think I missed one of Gwen's questions. What did Gwen ask here? Is it better to eat a big breakfast with eggs and then not eat till dinner, have a big salad with meat or two small. You know, I think both can really work for you as long as everything fits into this equation of taking in enough protein, right? You know, not eating too many calories, and just taking in enough fiber. I think you should do whatever fits into your schedule and whatever you think you can sustainably do. I think both ways are great. Okay, let's see. Okay. So I use this a lot with people eating enough fiber. Like if you do what I talk about, okay, first thing, if you don't overdo your calories, say you're going 10 times your body weight for 3 days, then cycle up one day. And you're also eating an adequate amount of protein. So what's left? You got fats and you got carbohydrates left. Like I could tell you, start counting your fats, start counting your carbohydrates, you know, and don't eat processed foods. But another way of saying the same thing and keeping it real simple and just to ensure that you're taking in enough fiber, because fiber is so good. There's soluble, there's insoluble fiber. And there is some calories in soluble fiber, a couple of calories per gram, I think. So, you know, it's good for your gut health. But if you're taking in 30 to 50 grams of fiber, it makes you eat better. And it forces you to eliminate empty calories. It makes you eat vegetables. It makes you eat fruits. Sorry, guys, I just got a cold. So I think that's another great way of doing it. Like if you track protein, right, and you track calories, and then you add just fiber to it, you're there. You're going to do like incredibly well. If you're eating 30, 40 grams of fiber, and you're not eating too many calories, you're eating an adequate amount of protein, this is a sustainable diet for the rest of your life. You can do incredibly well. I really love that concept. So protein, calories, fiber. Track those three. You'll do amazingly well. And then the other component to it, since I'm always talking about this, is what I probably would like you to do too, is give yourself just an 8-hour eating window. I do like that. I think it's one of the easiest ways to get people to eat less. I mean, it's interesting because I've been really looking at all the new research. I'm always like analyzing the research and studies, and even a lot of my earlier videos, I was talking about all the benefits of being in a fasted state, and there really are a lot of them. But calorie restriction is really the same thing to such a degree. See, why I always liked time-restricted eating and intermittent fasting so much is that I've been working with people, like I say, I opened my first gym in 1989. I tried every possible diet, and I've had, out of all the things I've tried in the last 10 years, I've had the most success with people with intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating. And the main reason is that it just makes people eat less. It's so true. If you're eating like the typical American, like eating 14 hours a day, waking up in the middle of the night, grabbing a little snack, you know, it's so hard to control calories. I mean, yes, there is autophagy, which I think is a great thing, you know, when you're in a fasted state, but that really takes a decent amount of time to kick in. It's even debatable how much autophagy you're getting with a 16 or 18-hour fast. You're probably getting some because it's somewhat of a never-ending process, but you got to really do those more extended fasts to really get that autophagy to kick in. So I really feel like it's one of the easiest ways to get people to eat less if you just say, you know, I'm only eating within an 8-hour eating window. And then you're following the rest of the strategy. Whether you want to maintain an optimal weight, whether you want to lose weight, it's such an easy way to eat less. Just telling people, like I love my plan here. 2 meals a day, prioritizing protein like vegetables and fruits, plus a protein shake within an 8-hour eating window. Every now and then, give yourself a little bit more calories so you go in and out of a calorie deficit. This is just a sustainable thing you can do for the rest of your life. This is how I've been eating, like, you know, for years and years now. The only change that I have made as of now, because I know all the research is getting so strong about it, see the little E here is this early time restricted eating versus late. Like for the last 10 years, me and my wife, we've been skipping breakfast, breaking our fast 12, 1, 2 o'clock, and being done eating 7, 8 in the evening. And it really does seem from all the new research that it really is important to take in protein, taking calories earlier in the day. So now at 10 o'clock, I've been eating at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I've been having dinner a lot early. I'm done by like 6 in the evening. But I was even, I kind of slowly progressed into this schedule. Even when I was skipping breakfast the last couple of years, I still was doing these protein hacks where I would take essential amino acids maybe 10 o'clock, or I would just do like a whey protein shake at 10 o'clock, 100 calories, 25 grams of protein, because I was sensing within my body, even with my muscle mass, sometimes I was a little confused with myself, saying, am I just getting older? But I thought that maybe I was having a little bit harder time maintaining muscle and putting on muscle. It's partly because I'm getting older, but I also think that doing the late time restricted eating was affecting my muscle mass to some degree. I'm going to do some videos about that too. I finally switched over this early time restricted eating, and I really do like it. I know there's some people who were a little disappointed when I said that, and they said, Mike, I'm just not hungry in the morning. I still think there's tremendous benefit to skipping breakfast and just doing, say, a 16-8 from 12 to 8 in the evening. As long as you're taking in enough protein, you're keeping down calories, you're getting enough fiber from good things. But I love it. So it's I'm switching to the early time restricted eating, and I really do like it. But it took me a while to get there. But let's review this whole thing. Okay, so if you want to lose 25 pounds pretty quickly, okay, the first thing we got to do, right, calories. 10 times your body weight, right, is a great calorie deficit to be in. Eat like that for maybe 3 days. On your 4th day, up your calories to minimize that metabolic adaptation, and just to make sure you're taking in enough vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, and it's also going to make the diet more sustainable. Okay, the next thing you want to do is to make sure you're taking in an adequate amount of protein. You can just multiply your body weight by like 1 gram if you want to be a little bit on the high side, right? If you want to be a little bit more conservative, go 0.7. If you know what your body fat is, go 0.9 times lean mass, if you want to be really technical. Now, the other thing you want to do is make sure you're eating enough fiber. And that's going to, if you're eating 30, 40, 50 grams of fiber, a minimum of 30 grams a day, you can't be eating bad because you're only eating a minimum, a reasonable amount of calories. You can't eat donuts, right? You can't eat cookies and cakes and processed foods because it's going to throw you over on the calories. So by eating 30 grams of fiber at a minimum, is going to ensure that you're taking in good nutrition. You're already getting an adequate amount of protein. It's going to make sure you're eating salads, or you're eating vegetables, you need a couple of fruits. It's a simple way to do it. I really love it. And then just to make the calories a lot easier to stick by, do this time restricted eating, early or late, where you're giving yourself an 8-hour eating window. You're going to do great with this diet, and you can do it for the rest of your life. You can just, once you reach your ideal weight, you can just stay at maintenance calories, right? If you want to lose weight, or say, the holidays come in, you start creeping up, New Year's comes, okay, you're going back to this. You're going into a deficit 3-4 days out of the week. It's great. I really like this program a lot. And then the other component, let's see. I'll get to your stuff too, Nick. Let's see what Chris got to say first here. What does someone go about hiring you to do online program for weight loss? Do you do that? I'm sure you do. Yeah, of course, Chris. I mean, I'd have a couple things. I may have it listed underneath this video. I do everything will be like this. I can do online one-on-one, like for an hour. If the interesting thing about me, it's interesting. I've done so many of those like 1 hour one-on-ones with like YouTube experts and marketing experts and like business gurus to grow my gym and to help me with my business. And 90% of the time, I have to say I'm disappointed. And this is why I'm disappointed. And this is what I try to fix. If someone does a one-on-one with me, I mean, how it works is that you click this link, it takes you to like a calendar, and then first you answer like 10 questions. So first of all, I have a feel for you already, Chris, but I'll know a lot about you before the 1 hour one-on-one starts, so I feel like you can get the most out of the hour. When I've done these one-on-ones with these gurus and they charge like an insane amount of money, I can tell that they literally looked at my website or looked at my my YouTube channel for 2 minutes before the conversation. Like the 1 hour, I felt that they were learning about me, and I feel like it was so much money, I didn't get the most out of it. So what I try to eliminate that by first having you answer all these questions. So when we start the hour, we can get right into it. And then I also have another thing, which is, it's pretty expensive though. I have this 1 month coaching program where you pretty much contact me every single day. Like what I do with that program is I want you to enter all your food into MyFitnessPal. So every morning, like, I log into your account for you. I look at what you've eaten, and then I'll send you an email giving you my suggestions, based on your goals. Then I give you a whole workout routine, workouts. And, I like to use, what's the name of that? True Coach, I think. It's another one of those apps that has all the workouts in it. And it's really just like 30 days of speaking to me every single day. We do a whole bunch of one-on-one live streams, and just, I don't know if you need something like that. It's pretty expensive, and it kind of transforms people. I only take on like 2 or 3 people every month or something like that because it's so time consuming. But those are a couple of other options. I also have the intermittent fasting course, but I don't think you really need that, because I don't know how much you would get out of that because you show up at these live streams and you watch my videos. But that's another option too. Obviously, if you take the 30-day thing, I would just give you that. It's no big deal. But yes, I do some online stuff for sure. And let's also talk about, let me see. Let me just look at some of Juicy's questions. Nicholas's question. I know he asked a whole bunch. Okay, so Nicholas, so if I eat 160 grams of protein, that's a protein surplus. Is that more beneficial than taking 155 grams of protein? I think you weigh about 155 pounds, Nicholas. So I don't think you have to go 170. And truthfully, 155, 170, I think 150, 155 is more than enough for you. I think maybe beyond that might be wasting calories a little bit for you. Let's see. I found something out. When I get out of bed, my knees look flat. It doesn't have the dip. Well, yeah, Nick, I know you're a young guy. I'm sure if we all saw you, everyone in this live stream would say, "Oh my God, they wish they looked as young and healthy as you do." I know you're very critical of your own body, but you've done so well, and you've lost so much weight, and you're a young guy starting your life. I wouldn't be overly concerned with little things like that. Do the best. I think you're doing so well. You've done so well. You got great parents. They're with you with this whole thing, with this weight loss process that you're going through. Now you're working out, you're in school. Just try not to be overcritical of yourself. I'm sure you look amazing. We got that. Let's see. We got Gene now. What do you think about adding 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil to a whey protein shake every morning? I think it's totally fine. I mean, what's that? 1 tablespoon is about 130, 140 grams. Monounsaturated fat. Dr. Stephen Gundry, I know we've talked about this before, Gene, would highly recommend it. I don't do that, but I'm very generous with my extra virgin olive oil because I put it on. I eat an arugula salad most days. You'll see I put a decent amount of extra virgin olive oil on that. I'm always sauteing vegetables in the evening with extra virgin olive oil. Even I made my buffalo chili again this week. I saute the onions and the green peppers with extra virgin olive oil. I think that's fine. As long as it fits into your calorie scheme, for sure. On those very low calorie days, when you're only eating 1,000 calories, I probably would do that. I think that would be a good idea. That would just bump you up to like 1,100, and it gets some good fat into your diet. I think that may be a good thing. Hey, thanks again, Chris. This is great. Thanks so much for the super chat. Thanks for always answering my questions. I look up to you and appreciate you. Thanks, Chris. Great guy. And you're always giving me some good comments. I've been starting to put a lot of my little short videos on Facebook. I know you backed me up on a couple of them, Chris. I appreciate it. They're doing pretty well. I think I know maybe Mark Zuckerberg, since I don't know if you guys follow the Facebook, the stock, like, oh my God, tumbled. It was like $350 a share, like a $90 a share. I I own a little bit of Facebook. I was really disappointed with that. And I think now I've heard he's changing the algorithm a little bit, and he kind of puts organic content means that if you post something without paying for it, like you don't promote something, that Facebook in the past, you'd have to always pay if you want anyone to see your content, unless you're a really famous celebrity or something. So I used to put a lot of stuff on Facebook and did nothing. But lately, I've been putting my reels, I've been putting those little videos showing you how to eat, and I'm getting like 1,000 views, 2,000 views a video, so I'm happy about that. I know Chris gave me some nice comments trying to help me out. He shares it. He's a wonderful guy himself too. I really appreciate all the support, for sure. Okay, Mike, I'm not being critical of myself. I'm just wondering why I wake up, my left knee looks flat when I eat. It was bigger. It has a bigger bump. Does that mean like in your stores? And Chris, I mean, Nicholas, I hope I'm not insulting you. I didn't mean to insult you by saying you're being critical. I mean, I'm critical on myself, so don't, and I'm trying to work on that because I can be overly critical. I don't I'm not sure exactly what you mean by your, like one knee looks flat. Do you think one knee is a little bit more swollen? If one knee is a little bit more swollen, I wouldn't say that would be glycogen storage. I would say maybe, who knows, maybe you tweaked it a little bit. I know you're working out pretty hard. Maybe, it's just slightly swollen. I have clients whose knees are totally, like I had a couple of clients recently who just ran the marathon, like the New York Marathon that had it, I think it was last weekend. And their knees swelled up like crazy. One knee swelled up more than the other one. And not that there's even anything wrong with the knees. They're relatively young. They just was, it was beyond the limits of what the knee could withstand, and the knee just swelled up, and the knee swelling just like as a protective mechanism. It limits range of motion, so it lets the body heal a little bit. So hard to say, Nicholas, why. Like I said, unless it's extremely swollen and it's not functioning properly, I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, so let's talk about this too. Obviously, when you're losing weight, when you want to lose 25 pounds, you have to do some type of exercise. Everything works better when you're exercising. But once again, I'm not a believer in exercising to necessarily control your weight, to reduce calories. I'm talking about exercising for good health. Right? It's just you create a response. So I would want everyone walking 30, 60 minutes a day. I love those fasted walks first thing in the morning. I love them. Good for your circadian rhythm, just for getting outside. It's just a great thing to do. Or you can do those little workouts, like a 10, 20 minute walk after every meal. And you have to be doing some type of resistance training, everyone. I mean, the simplest thing you can possibly do, I think, are just like body weight squats, some push-ups, and some planks. And I have some videos on the YouTube channel just showing you how to do these in like perfect form. But there's so much great information out there on YouTube and in general. But you walk 30 to 60 minutes every single day, right? Or 5 days a week. Then you spend 15 minutes, maybe 3 days a week, just doing body weight squats, some push-ups with some lunges. It is somewhat important that when you're reducing calories and when you're losing weight, you want to maintain that muscle mass. And there's no better way to maintaining muscle mass as to be doing resistance training. You know me, I do like so much more than this, but it's important to do some type of resistance training for sure. Okay, let's see what Nicholas. Okay, thanks, Mike. What about my arms? They feel flat before I've eaten. Is that, that could possibly be. Because I mean, I know that. That's like a bodybuilding term, like feeling flat. It could be. I mean, like you're losing a little bit of that pump because your glycogen levels are low. Like when you eat carbs, like we talked about in the past, you store them in the form of glycogen in your muscle and your liver, and you can hold more water. So that could possibly be. You can be a little flat if you're low on carbs and your arms more than like maybe just one knee. That's possible. Let's see, Chris. Okay, Chris. I think it's important to tip and help guys like you. Thanks, Chris. You are a very expert, knowledgeable guy. I encourage everyone to help you out on Facebook. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it. Once again, another super chat, Chris. So nice of you. This is wonderful. I really appreciate it. It's great. Okay, Ground Ed. I see. Hey, Mike. I'm stuck, have a plateau for almost 12 months. Okay, I get a lot of questions like this, Ground Ed. So it's really common. I lost a lot of weight and struggling with saggy belly pooch. I'm doing stomach vacuums. I like stomach vacuums. Yeah. Do you have any advice on getting a flat stomach? Okay, so it's interesting. Stomach. If you look at I'm gonna change the camera angle because so I can show the people what a vacuum is. You see this picture of Frank Zane. If you can see the vacuum. That's like a classic. Let me get this out of the way. That's a classic. Okay, let me shut this. That's a classic bodybuilding exercise where how it works is that you blow all your air out of your stomach and then you suck it in, and it kind of works TVA. It works transverse abdominals. I love vacuums. I think they're such a great, there's such a great exercise. If you hit a plateau, a couple things I would do. The first thing I always like to do with most people when they say they've been dieting for a long time and hit a weight loss plateau is first off, you might have maybe messed with your metabolism a little bit. I mean, as long as you're eating enough protein and you're doing the fiber, you're doing all the good things, I always like to tell people, I know it could be a little disheartening at first, is first take a diet break. Take a couple weeks off, eat at least maintenance calories. Make sure you're getting in good nutrition, good protein, good vitamins, good minerals, good nutrients, and kind of like reset. That would probably be like the first thing I would do. When it comes to exercising, I mean, I also did a video. Actually, I got like a ton of views years ago. Besides vacuum, sometimes too, when you have that lower saggy belly pooch, I did a video talking about how having tight hip flexors can actually anterior tilt your pelvis and rotate your pelvis forward and give you that little lower abdominal look. If it's not something like that and you truly think it's literally just like body fat, I would say first take a diet break and then start off this whole process again too. Make sure you're eating enough protein, go into the calorie deficit again. Maybe you want to cycle calories a little bit more than you did in the past and just see how it goes. But I love vacuums. But just thinking, it's different tissues, muscle tissue, fat tissue, different tissues, different functions. So, the vacuums are gonna help you, suck the stomach in a little bit and just work the TVA, but may not necessarily help you get rid of the little bit of belly pooch. And then too, like even though I just said cardio, don't look at cardio, but in your case, if you're a workout guy, if you're doing vacuums, you're probably a workout person. You want to get the cardio going in just the ideal amount without overdoing it too. Like I'm not a big believer in like that EPOC, exercise post-oxidant consumption. That's what EPOC stands for. Some people like people like Orange Theory, that chain that's really popular where they brutalize you, they make you stay like 90% of your max heart rate for extended periods of time, and they claim there's a big EPOC, exercise post-oxidant consumption, like you're going to burn hundreds and hundreds of calories post-workout. I don't really believe that. You're going to burn a little bit more. So in your case, I would do a combination, like do your HIIT training for a high VO2 max, a teeny bit of EPOC, but I even think steady state aerobics in your case might be a good thing to do too, just to break the cycle if you're in a plateau as well. I want to know everything of what you're doing, to give you a better example of it. But take a diet break, then go back into a calorie deficit, and see how you do. Make sure you're eating a good amount of protein too. Can you explain more about planks? Yeah, sure. I wish I could pull a video. Next time I should. Maybe next week we'll do more of a workout type live stream. Planks is when you're elevating off. I like the elbows and the toes, and you just hold it for like 30 seconds. It's like a non-movement exercise for the abs. See, I like non-movement exercise for the midsection, especially when you get older, because I find a lot of people just crank on their spines doing like a lot of crunches and just put a little too much pressure on the discs. If you're not doing them correctly, just like you can overdo it. I'm a big follower also like Gene. I've talked about this with Gene too, Stu McGill, who I like non-movement exercise. I like front planks. I like side planks. I like challenging like the midsection with non-movement. Like for example, you get into a plank, you lift one leg off the ground, you bring it back down. Watch some of my videos. I have one really good video on planks. I think I did like a long 15-minute video on it on the channel. Okay, Nicholas, Mike, how far would you say I'm to being fully grown at age? He's 17. I don't know. Actually, I had a cousin of mine who grew in the Army when he was like 18 to 21. Came back out of the Army 2 inches higher. Really depends. I don't know if your doctor, your pediatrician can probably tell you. Sometimes you can look at your growth plates, how much cartilage on the end of your bones. If you recently had an x-ray, sometimes they'll x-ray your wrist, x-ray your elbow, and just tell you, it looks like you're going to be fully grown at 18, 19. I think you definitely got a year or two to go, though. 17 is still relatively young. Unless if you've been shaving from the age of 13, might be a little different, if you like shot up at a young age. But I grew in college. I grew like another inch in college. I don't think I was fully grown until I was like 19, 20. So hard to say. But it's weird how all my body aches seem to disappear when I do very low. That's interesting. I've heard other people say that too. Like I just watched a video of a guy. He came in my YouTube feed. And I've heard about this before too. Who went on the carnivore diet, like a low-calorie carnivore. He said, so knee arthritis went away. Mark Sesson has said that over the years too. He's been an endurance athlete, world class, and a lot of his friends who switched to just not necessarily a very low calorie, but go on a low carb, which pretty much reduces your calories, right? And their aches and pains go away. I think that's great though, Gene. I deal with a lot of orthopedic type issues. My knees, my knee operation, like I talk about went bad. I got every disc in my neck, and lumbar is like herniated from surfing and riding motocross as a kid and skateboarding all over the place. I'm all banged up. I have good and bad days, good and bad weeks, good and bad months, you know. So it's interesting. You know, I'm sure there's some type of inflammatory response to being in a lower calorie state than to being in an abundance of calories. Maybe that's it. You know, really hard to say, but I'm glad you do feel better from that. Okay. This is Ed. Thank you, Mike. I think I'll take a few weeks off. Plus, it's the World Cup. World Cup, yeah, that's my son loves that stuff. And now I so enjoy that. That's great. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it too. My son's a big soccer guy. I mean, football guy. I guess you're from Europe or the UK, Ed. Okay, let's see. Nicholas, actually now exercise, especially doing HIIT, is so much easier. I feel so much lighter and it helps me move so much. Yeah, definitely, I love that. That's great. Let's see what Jeff's got. Better to lift weights on the maintenance calorie days, or does it matter? Well, you know, that's kind of a trick that what I seem to do. I just instinctively, now I've been doing this forever, like cycle calories. So on the days that I'm doing my resistance training, yes, I generally up my calories on those days, whether it be like a bigger protein shake or something like that. But I think it's a great way to do it, Jeff. It's very smart and instinctive to definitely eat more on the days where you're going to be really trying to create a response, trying to put on muscle on your body. I think that's a great way of doing it. So if you're following this exact strategy on that third day, that should be your resistance training day. That's great. I think that's great. Okay, so let's go over. Oh yeah, from London. Oh, cool. You know, I've never been to London. I'm dying to go. I'm supposed to go to Italy though in a week or so. You know, which should be a lot of fun. But I've been to the Channel Islands, you know, which I guess is kind of in that general area many years ago, before my kids were born, on a business trip with my wife. So that's great. But I would love to go to London. I got to get there one day for sure. Okay, let's go over some meal examples. So, you know, this is like, you know, I guess this could be boring if you've been showing up every Sunday for me, but this is basically how I eat, how I recommend people eat. But let's break it down. So this is just what I call like optimal nutrition. So we got an arugula. I think this is a combination, this particular one, of an arugula and spinach salad. So back to what Nicholas is saying, high in nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide. I love arugula. It's my favorite microgreen, but you have to like that bitterness taste. If you don't like the arugula, you can do spinach. You can do anything you want. But you want the fiber, you want the micronutrients, you want the good stuff in these leafy greens, which is great. Then I have about I don't know if this is a whole or half an avocado. Avocado superfood, right? Loaded with potassium, magnesium, 16 grams of fiber in an avocado. So already with the arugula and an avocado, I'm close to probably 19 grams of fiber in this one meal, right? Then I also have some high quality protein. We got some smoked salmon, high in omega-3s, those healthy fats, right? Good complete source of protein. And they also have like a whole chicken breast cut up. Probably got 60 grams of protein right there. Then to make the salad really fun to eat, I did a few things. I threw some blueberries in it, loaded with antioxidants, right? Yeah, some raspberries. Always go with different colors when it comes to these fruits and vegetables. Different vitamins, different minerals, different nutrients. I don't know if you can see it too. I even threw a few walnuts in here as well too. So this is what I'm talking perfect eating, and there really isn't all that many calories here if you really broke it down. I'm not sure how much, either I can increase or decrease the calories by how much extra virgin olive oil I put on it. I always use balsamic vinegar whenever I'm using my salads, because balsamic vinegar, similar to apple cider vinegar, has that acidic acid in it, and research shows is that it clears glucose. It's really great. It minimizes your blood sugar response to the meal when you have vinegar. So sometimes I put balsamic vinegar. If I'm not having a salad where I don't use balsamic vinegar, I may literally take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, mix it in a little Pellegrino, drink that before my meal. I mean, I think it's great either way. Okay, so let's give you another example of something else. This is like a shrimp. Oh yeah, essentially I think I made a short video on this thing too. This is like, every now and then I love, you know, it's a little on the carb side. I love sweet potatoes. So this is like a nice serving of like wild caught Gulf shrimp. The Gulf shrimp is from Florida, you know, in the States. That means they're wild caught, really healthy. This is, I don't know, could be 10 ounces of shrimp there. Could be 60 grams of protein right there. This looks like rice, but it's not rice. This is like a combination of cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, and I think there was one other vegetable in there. There's like a medley. I made that with extra virgin olive oil, a little salt and pepper on the stove. It was delicious. I loved it. And a sweet potato. Another perfect meal. This is how you have to eat. You're getting your fiber, you're getting your protein, and you're keeping calories relatively under control. And I even spice up the shrimp really well. I love Cajun. I love Cajun, either black spicy. This happens to be though with more of a curry. You know, you get the turmeric, which is good for reducing inflammation in the body, good for brain health. I mean, this is just great stuff. Now, this interesting, you know, this would be like, back to Holly's question. She's been doing the OMAD. This is what I would consider maybe like a nice small half meal. This is something that if you're eating the OMAD and your stomach's not used to like a big meal, this is something you might want to try and even reduce it even more. This is almost like a meal snack for me. This would be like, there's a couple of hard-boiled eggs, but look at those yolks, right? See how yellow and golden those yolks are? These are those pasture vital eggs. I know Chris talked about that, I think, last week, and he buys those vital eggs as well, too. That's my favorite brand, pasture raised from like small farmers. And then this is an avocado, my berry mix. This is a relatively lower protein, only 6-7 grams of protein per egg, so 14 grams of protein. Like if this was going to be a whole meal for me, what I probably would add to it would be maybe that Greek yogurt, you know, with the flaxseed and the raspberries or blueberries on top. That would give another 15 grams of protein. Or I would eat something like this and then add a no-cal protein bar, or, you know, a Quest protein bar, or I would maybe even have a protein shake if I wanted to take this small little snack meal into a full meal, because I want that 30 to 60 grams of protein per meal. I think I maybe just have one more example. And this is typical. This is another typical thing. Another thing I try to do every single day. Like if I'm not eating yogurt, which is a fermented food, or having that apple cider vinegar, I try to always eat fermented foods every single day. And I'm a big believer too of sauerkraut. I like the Bubba's brand of sauerkraut, just fermented cabbage. And these are pickled. Pickled can be fermented, and like, but some people say, "Oh, Mike, the pickled is not fermented." But this particular brand, Bubba's, make it the old-fashioned way. This is not vinegar pickles. These are like fermented, you know, for a good period of time. They're great. I like Bubbies. I think Bubbies. And once again, a whole bunch of chicken, avocado. This is how you have to eat. This is like really perfect eating. Let's see what Nicholas has to say. Okay, I've got to say something to everyone. When doing exercises, please do something you enjoy. I hate doing lunges and jumping routine. Oh, sounds good. Yeah. Good advice, Nicholas. Good advice. That's what Gene's got. Okay. But is it weird how all of my body aches seem? Oh, yeah, I got that. We talked about that. Ooh, I guess I missed some here. Okay. Hey, Mike. Oh, this is Ed. Thank you, Mike. I think I'll take a few weeks off. Okay, we got that. Got that. Better to lift weights. Okay, I guess what happened here? I lost my place. Sorry, guys. Okay. Mike, have you heard of Eddie Hall? He's a strong man and eats 10,000 on a well. No, I haven't heard Eddie Hall. I'll look him up. Maybe if I saw his face, I would know him. Okay. Hey, I definitely am still growing because my veins are popping and my underneath has growing. Understanding what I mean? Sure. You're still growing. I still can't believe I used to weigh 216. I know you've done so well, Gene. Okay. At what age do you think sarcopenia progresses faster than any other kind of resistance training to gain muscle? You know, I don't know. Unfortunately, I think when you start getting into your 40s, 50s, all that stuff starts kicking in a little bit. I don't think that's going to be Eugene. You seem to be, working out and be pretty conscious of it. I just listened to a recent podcast of this gal nutritionist, and that's a big thing with women when they get older. I get so many clients coming to me with osteoporosis in their 60s and 70s and things like that, and just like loss of muscle mass. And it's so important to eat healthy and just to stay active. And I'm not a big component of like killing yourself in the gym all the time, to prevent these things. That's what I'm saying. Like you reach a point of diminishing returns so quick with exercise, but you still have to do resistance training. Even, what I've been thinking about doing too, which is really good for all these things. And I'm thinking, because I have my bad knee, it's hard for me to do certain things. I'm thinking about starting doing some rucking. Rucking is meaning where you take a backpack and you load it with weight. I'm just going to start with 10 pounds. But people go up to like a third of their body weight. Some people ruck with like 30, 50 pounds on a backpack. That compression, just loading the body like that is really good for all those things you're talking about, Gene, and for osteoporosis and preventing the loss of muscle mass. That's another thing you might want to start fooling around with, is taking walks, loaded with a weight vest on, or without driving yourself nuts. I mean, some people overdo it. I think just 10 pounds. Dr. Gunji liked that too for back pain. 10, 15 pound weight in a backpack kind of puts your posture in a position that's really good for your back as well. Yeah, Arnold is still training and has not really as big now as he was 30 years ago. At some point, training must be about slowing down. And I agree. I agree, definitely. No doubt about it. Okay, what might you think on taking caffeine before resistance training? It's interesting. Caffeine is probably one of the biggest ergonomic, it definitely helps, no question about it. I'd say besides creatine, if I had to pick two, supplements, and I would probably throw caffeine in there as being the most effective for just helping you put on muscle and endurance, everything. Caffeine, no question about it. Caffeine used to be illegal in sporting events, I think like 20 years ago. They called it caffeine doping. You couldn't be in the Olympics if you had high levels of caffeine in your system. I think they got rid of that. But caffeine and creatine, I would say, would be my two favorites for exercise performance. I was just talking about my son. My son's a collegiate runner. He's a incredible runner. He's talking about a lot of his coach on his track team talks about caffeine all the time. He says all the best runners in the world, generally take caffeine, before a race or for an event, which is really interesting. All right, okay. Let's see what else Nicholas got. Oh, if you wear a weighted vest while walking, does that break your knee? Well, knee would be different. Knee would be like when you're not working out. Like when you're sitting around, like in knee, like how many calories, like thermogenesis, like when you're just fidgety and when you're moving around. So I wouldn't count the, like when you're exercising and look at that as exercise, knee would be something different. I'm going to do some videos about that. But I think a weighted walks is a good thing to do. There's even some research saying for like women, osteoporosis, even maybe more than men. But I think for both, just hopping on one leg, like 15 hops on each side, is really good for preventing, osteoporosis in the hips. It's interesting. Your body the joints like some compression as long as you don't overdo it. So like just walking with a 10-pound weight vest or 10 pound and like a backpack in the back is probably a really good thing as you age without overdoing it. All right, so I think this is it. If you could tell, I got a little bit of a cold. I'm not feeling all that great. I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I really appreciate everyone showing up. We did almost 90 minutes. We got a minute, hour 27. Once again, thanks again for the super chats, Chris. So nice, Gene. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support, everything. I think I see one more question coming for Gran. Okay. It said Gwen. Okay, so I haven't eaten yet today. I'm scared. What do I start with? Start with prioritize protein, Gwen. Have some protein for sure. I'm not sure what time it is where you are, so you can have a salad with some protein on top. You can make some eggs, some vegetable omelet. You can have a Greek yogurt. You can do a protein shake. Eat some protein. Get some fiber. Protein and fiber. Think like that. And don't overdo your calories. I'm sure you haven't if you haven't eaten yet today. All right, so I really appreciate everyone showing up. I think I'm leaving for Italy. I'm not sure when we're leaving. I might be here next Sunday. We're leaving on Monday, but we're leaving next weekend. I'm going to try to do something from Italy. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm a little out of sorts because I wasn't feeling well this week. And I might be going into this Italy trip not in top shape. But I didn't eat much this week because I didn't have much of an appetite. I feel like I even lost a little bit of weight this week. So I'm sure I'll be eating some pasta, right? And I'll be drinking a little bit of red wine in Italy because that's what all the tourists at least do when they go to Italy. So it should be fun. But I'll definitely do some posts from Italy. But I might be here next Sunday. I'm not sure. I have to check with my wife. She's actually working today, my wife. She's such a hard worker. She's doing such a great job. But once again, I appreciate everyone showing up. Okay, I think Nicholas has one last question. Mike, one last question. I'm scared of lifting on an empty stomach. So I don't think you have to lift on an empty stomach, Nicholas. There's no reason why you have to do that. Eat and then work out. Protein shake, work out. I like working out fasted, but I don't do it all the time. I do it, on and off. I like to do my cardio fasted. My resistance training, I generally don't. I generally do a protein shake. I even do intra-workout, a little protein and a little carb while I'm working out. Not a lot, but a little bit. I like that. Maybe I'll drink a celery juice with half a scoop of like whey protein in there while I'm working out. I like that. All right, guys, take care. Have a wonderful week. Any questions, leave in the comments. But once again, I appreciate the super chats and everyone showing up. Great seeing you here today. Take care, everyone.